The world awoke to a seismic headline. China and India slap a 300% cultural preservation tariff on U.S. fast food. Newsrooms and trading floors from New York to London erupted in disbelief. The move was unprecedented, targeting not just an industry but a symbol. McDonald's. The Golden Arches, once a global comfort, became a lightning rod overnight. McDonald's, KFC, Starbucks, icons of American culture, saw their stocks nosedive before markets even opened. The tariff's intent was unmistakable. American fast food was no longer welcome. A Big Mac's price quadrupled, making it a luxury few could afford. The shock wasn't just economic, it was cultural, a direct challenge to decades of American soft power. Analysts scrambled for answers. Was this a trade war, a cultural revolt, or both? The world watched, stunned, as the familiar glow of the Golden Arches flickered at the front line of a new global standoff. This wasn't about steel or semiconductors, it was a declaration of cultural independence. China and India, united, were rejecting the tide of westernization. The suddenness and scale of the move sent shivers through Western capitals. The era of unchallenged American cultural dominance was over. Beijing and New Delhi defended their tariffs as a cultural and health preservation initiative. Chinese officials blamed Western fast food for rising obesity and diabetes, calling the tariff a public health necessity. India's leaders added a cultural argument, protecting their diverse culinary heritage from homogenizing corporate chains. Beneath the rhetoric, the real motive was clear: reclaiming economic sovereignty and pushing back against American dominance. The tariff was a calculated move to level the playing field for local brands. Nationalism was on the rise, and targeting McDonald's was a popular, symbolic act. The move was also a response to years of U.S. trade pressure and tech restrictions. By hitting fast food, China and India struck at a highly visible, deeply American industry. The message: you can hurt our industries, but we can hurt your culture. The choice was strategic. Fast food's supply chain reached deep into the U.S. economy. The tariff was more than a health regulation, it was a geopolitical chess move. The world saw a new kind of asymmetrical warfare, one that targeted symbols, not just sectors. The pain would be felt far beyond Wall Street, rippling through farms and factories across America. The rules of global trade had changed overnight. In China and India, McDonald's restaurants emptied overnight. A Big Mac became a luxury, and social media filled with images of deserted outlets. The company's stock plunged, erasing billions in value and triggering panic in Chicago headquarters. Emergency meetings offered no solutions: absorb the cost or close thousands of stores. Local chains seized the moment, launching campaigns as authentic alternatives. McDonald's suspended most operations, a move seen as surrender. The Golden Arches, once a symbol of global reach, now marked a stunning retreat. The battle for the hearts and stomachs of Asia had a new frontrunner, and it wasn't American. In Washington, the tariff was seen as an economic attack. The president condemned the move, vowing swift retaliation, but options were limited. Advisors split hawks demanded counter-tariffs, risking a global trade war. Doves urged caution, fearing supply chain chaos at home. Diplomats pushed for a legal challenge, warning that escalation could unite America's rivals. The president faced a painful choice: act tough and risk economic disaster, or show restraint and appear weak. The business community panicked, while political supporters demanded action. The stock market swung wildly with every rumor and tweet. Farm state lawmakers pleaded for relief, caught between patriotism and economic survival. The White House was paralyzed, the world waiting for America's next move. The fate of the global trading system hung in the balance. The president's decision would shape not just the economy, but America's standing in a rapidly changing world. The pressure was immense, the options all perilous. The clock was ticking. The tariff's shockwaves hit America's heartland hardest. Farmers who supplied beef, potatoes, and chicken to Asia saw contracts vanish overnight. Idaho potato growers and Texas ranchers faced mountains of unsold goods and collapsing prices. The pain rippled through feed suppliers, truckers, and port workers. Entire communities built on fast food exports faced ruin. The tariff struck at the president's political base, creating a paradox. Voters wanted a tough response, but also needed lost markets restored. Lawmakers flooded the White House with desperate pleas. America's globalized food system, once a strength, was now a vulnerability. The crisis exposed how deeply U.S. prosperity depended on open markets abroad. Beijing and Delhi knew a prolonged dispute would inflict deep political damage in the U.S. The debate in Washington raged to punish adversaries or save the heartland. The stakes were no longer abstract, they were measured in bankruptcies and broken towns. The tariff was a direct hit on the American way of life. The cost of global rivalry was now painfully clear. The tariff crisis forged an unlikely alliance between China and India. Once rivals, they now stood united against American influence, signaling a new era of cooperation. Their joint action inspired the BRICS bloc. Russia cheered, Brazil and South Africa voiced support. The alliance began exploring alternatives to the US dollar and Western-led institutions. The West, meanwhile, was divided. Europe hesitated, wary of American corporate dominance and eager to protect its own interests. Germany, reliant on exports to China, resisted U.S. calls for sanctions. The U.S. found itself increasingly isolated. The crisis shifted the global balance of power, proving that emerging nations could challenge American dominance. The unipolar world was gone. Multipolarity had arrived. The Beijing-Delhi consensus wasn't just about fast food. It was about rewriting the rules of global influence. The attack on McDonald's exposed the limits of U.S. power. A new world order was taking shape. The 2025 tariff shock was more than an economic event. It marked the end of effortless American cultural expansion. McDonald's retreat from Asia became a symbol of fading U.S. soft power. Local brands surged, and eating local became an act of patriotism. The question: can American icons adapt to a world less eager for their culture? Standardization is out. Deep localization is in. Survival may mean becoming truly local, not just adding a few menu items. The crisis is a wake-up call. Military and economic might aren't enough. Soft power is fragile. The world is pushing back, asserting its own identity. Global influence now demands partnership, not dominance. The post-American world is being shaped by everyday choices, like what's for dinner. The global playing field is leveling with new powers and new rules. The fate of a fast food chain is a symbol of profound change. How America responds will define its place in the century ahead.